What happens when one of the most explosive players in NBA history suddenly finds himself unwanted? How does a former MVP, a triple-double machine, a future Hall of Fame, a man who once carried an entire franchise on his shoulders end up fighting just to stay in the league? Today, we dive deep into the story of Russell Westbrook, from his unstoppable prime to the brutal reality of decline and the uncomfortable truth about whether his career might already be over. Russell Westbrook isn't just another NBA player, he's a walking storm. At his peak, he was the loudest, fastest, and most relentless player on the planet. He was the guy who could snatch a rebound, sprint coast to coast, and dunk on your entire team before you even realized what just happened. But here's the harsh truth. The NBA has changed. Teams don't need chaos anymore. They want efficiency, shooting, and spacing. And suddenly, the very things that made Westbrook great are the same things holding him back. So, is this the end of Russell Westbrook's career? Drafted in 2008 by the Seattle Supersonics, who relocated to Oklahoma City before his rookie season, Westbrook entered the league as a raw, athletic guard out of UCLA. At the time, he wasn't projected to be a superstar. Scouts saw him as defense first, maybe a role player, maybe a spark plug. But Westbrook had other plans. In OKC, he was paired with Kevin Durant, one of the smoothest scorers of his generation, and soon after, James Harden, a crafty playmaker off the bench. Together, they became one of the youngest and most exciting trios in the NBA. By 2012, they had reached the finals against LeBron James and the Miami Heat. They didn't win, but everyone knew the Thunder's future was terrifying. Durant, the sniper, Harden, the magician, Westbrook, the motor, the energy, the force that never turned off. But then Harden was traded, and later Durant left for Golden State. Suddenly, Westbrook was alone. The 2016-17 season is still one of the most legendary campaigns in NBA history. With Durant gone, everyone expected OKC to collapse. Instead, Westbrook turned into a one-man wrecking crew. He averaged 31.6 points, 10.7 rebounds, and 10.4 assists per game, the first player since Oscar Robertson in 1962 to average a triple-double for an entire season. He hit clutch shots, posted insane stat lines, and dragged a mediocre roster to the playoffs. He didn't just play basketball, he turned it into theater. Every night was a show. Every game felt like he was fighting for survival. And when he won the MVP that year, it felt like the perfect ending to the Russell Westbrook story. The lone wolf, abandoned by his star teammates, proving he could carry the load on his own. But here's the problem. Westbrook's greatest achievement was also a warning sign. His MVP year was proof of his brilliance, but also exposed the limits of his game. Because as good as he was individually, his style of play didn't always translate to winning basketball. After OKC, Westbrook's career became a tour of what-ifs. In Houston, he joined James Harden for a reunion. The fit looked great on paper, but on the court, it was clunky. Neither one could fully adapt, and the experiment ended after just one season. In Washington, he flashed brilliance again, dragging the Wizards into the playoffs with Bradley Beal. But it was a short-lived high. Then came Los Angeles. The Lakers thought Westbrook would be the missing piece alongside LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Instead, it was a disaster. Westbrook's lack of outside shooting clogged the floor. His turnovers piled up, and his defensive lapses became glaring. The same intensity that once inspired fans now looked reckless, even desperate. By the time he moved to the Clippers, the league had already shifted away from him. Teams were spacing the floor with shooters, building around versatile wings, and relying on efficiency over raw energy. Westbrook, the man who once defined chaos, now struggled to find where he fit. Westbrook's decline isn't just about his numbers. It's about how the NBA works. See, basketball is brutally pragmatic. It doesn't care about your MVPs, your all-star appearances, or your legacy. It only cares about what you can give right now. And right now, Westbrook gives you intensity, hustle, and leadership in spurts. But he also gives you poor spacing, questionable decision-making, and a game that doesn't scale well when he isn't the number one option. That's why his contracts tell the story. From max deals worth over $40 million a year to veteran minimums, just hoping for a roster spot. The market has spoken. It's the same story we've seen with legends like Allen Iverson, Carmelo Anthony, and even Dwight Howard. Once you're no longer a franchise's first option, the league doesn't always know what to do with you. But here's where Westbrook's story stinks. This isn't some role player who flamed out. This is one of the most electrifying guards the game has ever seen. His intensity wasn't just an act, it was who he was. He played every possession like it was his last, dove for every loose ball, and stared down anyone who doubted him. That's what made fans love experience. And now, to see him sidelined, mocked, or treated as just another guy, he was wrong. Because Westbrook was never just another guy. So, is Russell Westbrook's career truly over? Not officially. He can still bring value as a sixth man, as a spark plug off the bench, maybe even as a veteran voice in the locker room. There's still a place for that in today's NBA. But the days of Westbrook being a centerpiece, max contract player, a superstar who dictates the flow of a game, those are gone. And the NBA rarely gives second chances once it decides to move on. But here's what people forget. Careers end, but legacies last forever. Russell Westbrook is a 9-time All-Star, a 2-time scoring champion, an MVP, and the man who normalized the triple-double. He didn't just break records, he redefined what we thought was possible. For years, fans argued if his stats were empty, but the truth is, they weren't. They were historic, they were legendary, and they were a reminder of just how relentless he was. Yes, his career might be winding down, but his story is already written in bold ink. No matter how it ends, nobody will ever forget Russell Westbrook. So maybe the real question isn't why might Russell Westbrook's career be over? Maybe it's how will we remember him? As a stat chaser who couldn't win the big one, or as one of the fiercest competitors the NBA has ever seen, a player who gave everything every night no matter what? Because when history looks back, they won't just see the missed shots or the turnovers. They'll see the fire, the intensity, the fight. Russell Westbrook's career might be nearing its end, but his impact will last forever. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think Westbrook still has one last chapter left in him, or is this really the end? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's get the conversation going. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to hit like, subscribe, and check out my other deep dives into NBA's biggest stories. Because one thing's for sure, Russell Westbrook's story is far from ordinary.